Hello there. We are excited to have Amanda Thomas with Construct Interactive join us today for our leadership conversation. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So, a little bit of background. My name is Tara Lee, and my company, Next Level Challenge, builds teams that work. We launched this leadership conversation series to help teams and leaders really be their best. And I feel nothing does this more through learning from experience. So we either learn from our own experience, which can sometimes be expensive, or we can tap into the brains of other great leaders that have had great experiences and overcome challenges, and share their insight with others to learn and grow. So today you're in for an awesome treat. In addition to calling Amanda a friend of 17 years, I had her help me with that math yesterday. I've always respected her as an innovative leader who will, how do I describe Amanda? She goes to the facts, goes to the people, and will make decisions and stand behind those decisions. She has an amazing track record of leadership success, and most recently has grown her business, Construct Digital, into a market leader in digital marketing. So along with her business partner, Matt, Amanda successfully manages a 5-star book of clients, a rapidly growing team, and of course, keeps up with her young family at the same time. So welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. I'm excited for this.
Awesome. So let's just start by telling me a little bit about your company, Construct Digital, and your team that you work with.
All right, so our company, Construct Digital, we've been around, I want to say, for since 2011-ish. It started off really as a 2-person consultancy. I kind of have an interesting background, like out of university. I had some cool opportunities to work for some big companies, like Microsoft is obviously a big name that people recognize. But I also had a chance to work for like some smaller startups as well. So right out of university, I kind of got to cut my teeth a little bit in the tech space, from both big company marketing down to small scrappy startup like growth hacker like type marketing. I went on from a diversion from there, ran a construction company for a few years. I decided I missed tech, wanted to get back into tech. So my business partner, Matt, and I, we formed up back in 2011. We were both kind of doing some independent consulting at the time, and we decided we wanted to formalize it into a company. So our company, we really focus on digital solutions for company, a lot of website development, a lot of inbound marketing, growth marketing. We typically work with clients who aren't okay with the status quo, like they've decided that they're ready for their company to grow up or grow on, or whatever it is want to do, but they're usually looking for, they want to get more business in the door, more leads, more sales, etc. And we help them achieve those goals through a variety of different digital platforms.
Awesome. And we've had the chance to work with your organization as well. You've done some stuff for us, and I always look forward to picking your brain. So I'm a big believer in learning from mistakes, and I'm sure in your career you have encountered some yourself. So what is the greatest lesson you've learned from a mistake, either something you made yourself or maybe a huge blunder from a team member?
Yeah, so mistakes, it's kind of funny that you bring that up. The biggest thing about mistakes, is really, I would say, embracing them at the end of the day. We have a culture in our company where every Wednesday we have a team meeting, and at the end of that meeting, we wrap it up by going around the room, and everybody honestly shares like a mistake that they made that week. And it's not about them sharing it so they can, the rest of the team can like harp on them and be like, oh, you did this. No, it's more about like, this is something that I did wrong, and I don't want anybody else to make that mistake. So it's about sharing that message so that so everybody can learn from it, and we can figure out a plan on how to, mitigate that and make sure it doesn't happen in the future. Because I think if you're just, sweeping mistakes under the rug, you're not growing, you're not changing, you're not doing better. So embrace mistakes.
I think that's awesome. We it's funny, when I was formulating this question, that was actually how it started was, what are you doing in your culture to really make it okay for your team members to make mistakes? So you kind of answered that question too. And in our team training program, we have one of the workshops that we do is called Team Norms. And so we help teams come up with their own their behavioral expectations, and then they actually talk about accountability. And that specific example that you described is one of the examples that I sometimes use to give them some ideas around things that they can do to really build those fundamental things into your culture. So that's really exciting to hear that you're doing that, because I think a lot of companies want to say that it's okay to make mistakes and that they want to support their team in doing that, but actually having that happen on a daily, weekly basis is totally different.
Yeah, I'm far more concerned when somebody doesn't think they're making mistakes. Right.
Well, and that kind of leads into one of my other questions was leading into innovation. So innovation, looking at website, knowing your organization, that's really a fundamental building block in your organization. You really strive to be innovative for your clients. So what kind of things have you done to ensure your team is innovative so that they're able to provide that innovation onto your clients?
So I think it goes back to the type of people that we try to hire and bring on board in the first place. We really look for people that have a variety of backgrounds and are really interested in what we do. Like, for example, we have a web developer who actually has a background in social work. Like, he did social work for several years and then, took a program in programming. We have people that have side hustles going on, like outside of their regular workday.
And you encourage that behavior?
We encourage that. And I think that shows that those are the type of people that are engaged. For us, it's really important to have like an entrepreneurial attitude and, own a lot of ownership in what we do. And a lot of that is, kind of commitment to, being the best, people that we can be like in this space. And so to have, other things outside of our day-to-day that people are engaged in and interested in, it helps, I think, drive thinking about things through a different lens, right? A big part of kind of the value proposition of my company, like with my partner Matt and I, both of us, before we got into the agency world, we ran our own non-agency related companies. And having done that, I think puts us in a unique position where when we're talking with business owners, we've been on the same side of the table as them. You know what? We're not people who have been web developers from day one out of school. And if you have, there's nothing wrong with that. But we're not those people. We're the people that we've actually been entrepreneurs ourselves. We've been in the shoes of our clients. So, innovation, I wouldn't say like, innovation like in, necessarily kind of what everybody thinks, like, oh, the cutting edge of, everything. Right. A lot of what we do is really founded in good fundamentals. Digital marketing is obviously a newer field, but it all goes back to like good fundamentals, having good varied backgrounds, and just that commitment to not staying stagnant and constantly evolving our skill sets and being interested in things that are maybe, outside of the scope of, what we might be working on a specific day-to-day basis.
Awesome. And I think it's great how intentional you guys are about that, looking for people with diversity in skills, in personalities. I've worked with companies that haven't done that, and it's so easy. You hear that phrase, like hires like, and I've seen organizations where they're all very much like the owner and the manager, and they might all think that they get along because they think the same, and but they don't see how that's hurting the overall picture of their organization. So good on you guys. So you have some interesting dynamics in your team in that some of you work in your office. I know you work with contractors and different people that work remotely. So how have you handled that? Has that caused any challenges in building your team over the years? How do you focus on making sure that communication and processes are really streamlined?
So when we formed this company, we really wanted flexibility to be one of our kind of our core value offerings for people that work with us. And I don't always feel, 100% productive between, 9 to 5 every day. Sometimes it's a little bit less than that, and you get a kind of a pop of inspiration outside of that. So we've always really wanted to have a flexible environment. We've worked where we've had, core staff working remotely. And so getting that to work is, to be completely honest, like it's not easy. Like there's something to be said for face-to-face, in-person communication, which really just tends to make things flow a lot easier. So we've gone through a few different iterations of how we've worked over time. Nowadays, I would say we do what we kind of call core office hours, where there's certain days of the week during certain hours that we kind of expect, the core team anyways to be here. And outside of that, we offer flexibility to kind of work from home and, reasonable flexibility on the hours and such. Working with remote team members, remote contractors, we have worked with people like across the country, but actually more recently, and this is, I think this might be an opposite trend to what other people are doing, we actually made a decision where, anybody that was going to be a core regular staff, we need them to be local, like in Calgary where we are, and work out of our office sometimes. And that's just, it's the communication piece. We just find that so much happens when you're kind of in person, face to face, that just it's impossible to get the same level of communication, I think, all the time through, phone calls and, chat on Slack, etc. So that part of it has, kind of shifted for us and changed for it. And it's not to say the remote can't be done or it can't be done well, but just the size of team that we're on, we just needed things to be a little bit more efficient for the time period that we're in right now. So that just fits where we're at right now. But we'll see what happens in the future. We're always kind of open to changing that model as we go.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that insight, because I think that in today's world, especially you being a tech company and being very innovative, that people think that we can communicate a lot more efficiently with all of these other tools that we have. So that's really good insight, that there's really nothing like that face to face, and to make sure that you're not losing that personal connection in your team. So I know that you guys are going through some really exciting growth right now as an organization, taking on all the new clients and also expanding your team. So what do you feel are some of the really important strategies for you to keep in mind right now to make sure that you maintain the strong team culture that you've built so far?
I think the first thing that we're kind of doing is acknowledging that there's going to be some growing pains.
Yeah.
We know that whenever we bring on some new people, sometimes it gets harder before it gets easier, but it's that commitment to that harder piece, and really, focusing on that kind of transition time as, that's the perfect opportunity to, figuring out like what our growing pains are and making those better. Is it hard because our processes aren't defined well enough? It's like, okay, let's acknowledge that and, fix that piece of it.
You say is your personal secret to great leadership?
Oh, my personal secret to great leadership. That one I have no idea how to answer.
What is it that, if you were to try to pick one key thing that you've done throughout your entire career that has guided your success, or is there one big pillar that you always kind of fall back on? What would that be?
That's kind of an interesting question. I don't always think of myself like as a leader. It's not something that I ever really actually spend any time thinking about. I'm quite introverted, and so I actually, I have to spend a lot of time really kind of thinking about that communication piece of things and like how I interact, with people around the office, and so on. But for me, it really comes down to, just being about the people at the end of the day and recognizing that people are people. And I think that maybe I endlessly just see the good in people, but I think that everybody at the end of the day, like, wants to do a good job and feel valued and contribute. And what that looks like for each individual person is different. But, trying to provide an environment where, doesn't matter what your personality is, but you can feel success and feel valued. And, knowing that when you're coming here every day to our organization, that you are contributing in a way that you want to be.
Yep. That's awesome. Thank you for your insight, Amanda. I think that, that speaks right there to, why you are such a fabulous leader. You don't even know you are.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Leaders come in all shapes and sizes. There's people that I'm speaking with that don't actually lead a team and they think, well, I'm not a leader, but that's not how I see leadership. We're all leaders every day as we go through our lives, connecting with people, influencing other people, in our own lives, in our businesses, whether you're, have an official team underneath you or not. So, and everybody is capable of being a leader, and they can, when they can really understand themselves and be true to themselves and lead in their own way and style, which you've really been able to tap into doing. I think that's a beautiful thing. So I want to thank you very much and taking a few moments out of your very busy day and your schedule. So without any further ado, I think we'll say goodbye.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.
Yeah.